Melatonin, Neurological Protection, Anti-Aging Secrets, and Medicine Tips. Written by Quinn Spencer, narrated by Eric Boozer. The pros and cons of melatonin usage. While an occasional sleepless night can strike us all at any point in time, consistent lack of sleep can be deadly. It's linked to obesity, heart disease, and some types of cancer. It can also make us drowsy during the day, which isn't a good idea if you need to drive or operate machinery. When insomnia, the inability to get adequate sleep, happens, something needs to be done about it. But what should you try? Most people don't really want a sleeping pill. They can be too strong, making too much sleep a probability. One of the alternative remedies frequently mentioned is a hormone called melatonin. The body produces this as part of the circadian rhythm, or natural 24-hour clock. As darkness falls, more is produced so that sleep can occur. There are many things that can disrupt the natural cycle and reduce the amount of hormones secreted. Age is one factor. Children have the most, and people over 65 tend to have much less. Shift workers and people with jet lag are also likely to have a disruption and less melatonin produced naturally. What about taking the supplements? In some people, it could be a very good thing. Studies indicate it could be very helpful in getting over jet lag, especially if you've gone through 5 or more time zones. They also suggest that those over 55 with insomnia may have the most benefit. Those trying to come off of medications such as Valium and Xanax may benefit from the hormone. While more studies are needed, those who have stopped the addicting medications report better sleep quality when the time-release version is taken. There could also be a big benefit for those dealing with breast cancer. It may slow cancer growth and increase the benefits of some chemotherapy drugs. One such drug, tamoxifen, showed tumor shrinking by 28%. Melatonin has its downside too. Like many supplements that affect sleeping, it can cause drowsiness the next day. While it isn't a common problem, it could happen, especially if it's mixed with other supplements or medications that cause drowsiness. Some of the side effects include stomach cramps, dizziness, headache, irritability, decreased libido, and sperm count, as well as the possibility of male breast enlargement. People with depression may find that illness is made worse by the supplement. There are also some drug interactions with it. Antidepressants, antipsychotic medications, some blood pressure medications, calcium channel blockers, blood thinners, and medications that affect the immune system can have negative interactions. Beta blockers, tamoxifen, and interleukin-2 may have positive interactions. It is very important that you speak with your doctor and pharmacist before taking melatonin or any other supplement. They know your medical history and the medications that you take and can help prevent negative interactions and dangerous side effects. What happens when the brain doesn't produce enough melatonin? Almost everyone knows that the depletion of hormones in the body can affect the way the body functions, so it should come as no surprise that the decrease or lack of melatonin can have significant effects on your ability to get the proper amount of rest you need. Let's take a look at how melatonin regulates sleep, how deprivation takes place, and what sleep remedies may be available in order to help us get the rest we need to function in today's society. Melatonin. Melatonin is a hormone that is released when we are getting ready to sleep. So how does it work? Our bodies need hormones to function correctly, and our brains need melatonin to make them work properly. It is produced deep in the brain and released in extremely small and minute doses. One of the functions of this hormone is that it allows the body to know when to sleep and how much sleep to get. Melatonin is triggered by the decrease of light. Therefore, this hormone is released at night when we need to get sleep. If our brain does not produce enough melatonin, either due to no decrease in light or a hormone imbalance, it is very likely that sleep disorders, including lack of good quality sleep. You may fall asleep, but you won't stay asleep. And though in some cases you may not even realize that you are waking up, you may wake dozens or hundreds of times during the night, resulting in lack of rest and adequate sleep to function as you should. Insomnia. Sometimes you will find it impossible to fall asleep. You may lay awake all night tossing and turning. You may feel exhausted, but still you will not sleep. wakefulness. You may fall asleep for a short period of time only to find yourself a few minutes or an hour or two into sleep, wide awake and unable to return to sleep. Even when it is early in the morning, you will get out of bed and you will feel exhausted. In most cases, normal sleep remedies have little or no effect on people who suffer from melatonin sleep disorders. Who is most likely to suffer from melatonin depletion? There may be medical reasons why some people suffer from melatonin sleep deprivation, but in most cases, lifestyle is the main cause for this hormonal imbalance. If people work funny hours, then they seem more at risk, especially if they are surrounded by bright lights. If you travel long distances, especially through different time zones, and also if you do not go to bed at a reasonable hour. Remedies for melatonin depletion. If you think that you may be suffering from melatonin sleep deprivation, you should seek medical attention before embarking on any sleep remedies to cure this problem. You need to know why you aren't getting the quality sleep that you should be having. It might just simply be your brain is short on melatonin. If the cause of your sleep deprivation is low melatonin levels, there may be several sleep remedies that can help, including changing your lifestyle and allowing enough time for your melatonin levels to readjust. Any other sleep remedies should be discussed with your doctor, and he or she may prescribe a sleep remedy that will help restore your melatonin levels. What is the best melatonin source? Individuals with insomnia must know that one of the probable reasons why they find it hard to fall asleep is the lack of melatonin in their bodies. Melatonin is a naturally occurring substance that is produced by the pineal gland mostly during nighttime and is synthesized from serotonin. It is the substance that signals the body that it is already time to sleep. It also regulates sleep, making sure that a person will be able to regenerate in his slumber. For people who lack melatonin in their bodies, there are melatonin food supplements that are available in the market. Before buying any of these melatonin food supplements, it would be best if you can first check the product's melatonin source. This will give you a good idea of the effectiveness of the supplement that you will take. When it comes to melatonin source, the best according to experts are whole foods. Since melatonin is a natural substance, it just makes sense that natural sources of it are the most ideal. People checking for a good melatonin source must know that there are many possible sources for this natural substance, and they include walnuts, pineapples, St. John's wort, and tart cherries. Among these, tart cherries are said to contain the highest concentration of melatonin. So if you think you lack melatonin, then you can try eating tart cherries and products made from it, such as cherry juice, cherry powder, or dried cherries. If you don't like cherries and products made from cherries, then you can simply buy melatonin food supplements. Just make sure that the melatonin source of the food supplement that you will buy is good and reliable. A food supplement is only as good as its melatonin source. If the source of the melatonin is not good, then you also cannot expect much from the food supplement. Enjoy the benefits of melatonin using brainwave entertainment. Brainwave entertainment is a neurotechnological tool that induces specific sound patterns to the brain with the intention of alerting its state of consciousness. When the slow brainwave frequency of delta is presented to the brain, it mimics this frequency and releases melatonin, a hormone that sets our brain's biological clock. Melatonin is one of the most powerful regulatory chemical functions in our body and is responsible for everything from sex hormone production to sleep patterns that enable healing and rejuvenation. Most of the time, melatonin is equated with sleep, but its benefits far outweigh this very important element in our life. Melatonin can almost be seen as a miracle hormone in the preservation of life. Melatonin production decreases as we age and is affected by medications and light exposure. Light inhibits the secretion of this hormone. The long-term disadvantages of disrupted melatonin secretion could be deadly disease. Signs you have a deficiency in melatonin. Insomnia or frequent waking. Not being able to go back to sleep upon waking during the night. Lack of dreaming. Premenstrual syndrome. Endometriosis. Fibroids. Fibrocystic breasts. Menstrual disturbances. Irritability. Poor concentration. Prostate enlargement, fatigue, depression, scoliosis, anxiety, sensitivity to stress, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease associated with disrupted melatonin secretion in the brain, Alzheimer's disease, levels are low, they suffer from sleep disturbances and sundowning, ALS, elevated cholesterol, migraines, high blood pressure, irritable bowel syndrome, heart attack, heart arrhythmias, neurodegenerative disorders. Benefits of activating melatonin secretion. Alzheimer's disease, increasing melatonin improves sleep cycle, reducing late-day aggravation and symptoms like increased confusion and agitation in the afternoon and evening. Stroke, when administered at the time of a stroke, will limit the area of the brain tissue damage, decreasing brain cell death, lessening behavioral deficits, and reducing the rate of stroke-related death. Melatonin's free radical scavenging and antioxidant activities holds promise for improving stroke outcomes. Lowers blood pressure. Cancer fights a wide array of cancers including breast and liver, non-small cell lung cancer, and brain metastases from solid tumors. Melatonin may improve treatment outcomes in cancer patients, extending their lives. Improves response to chemotherapy for breast cancer. Melatonin may counteract the toxicity of chemotherapy treatment, decreasing side effects. Relieves anxiety. May help fight prostate cancer by drastically reducing the number of cancer cells and slows down of replication in cancer cells that are left. Reduces the risk of death in other cancers by 34% with no adverse effects. Migraines. Reduces the frequency and severity by 50% due to its anti-inflammatory effect. Brain. Melatonin is a powerful antioxidant that offers enhancements to the brain and nervous system, protecting against age-related damage. Melatonin easily diffuses into cells and crosses the blood-brain barrier to protect the brain. Reproduction. Helps control timing and release of female productive hormones and helps determine when a woman starts to menstruate, the frequency and duration of the menstrual cycle, and when she goes into menopause. Insomnia. Boosts sleep efficiency and increases total sleep duration. Melatonin decreases motor activity, induces fatigue, and lowers body temperature. Decreases nighttime urination. Rebalances the body's natural circadian rhythm. Irritable bowel syndrome. Reduces symptoms such as abdominal pain. These are just a few of the many benefits of having an adequate supply of melatonin in your body. Brainwave entertainment is an easy way to increase melatonin levels to ensure the best of health and longevity. Beyond helping us sleep, the many health benefits of melatonin. Melatonin and your health. Melatonin truly is one of the miracle hormones that the human body produces and has multiple benefits. It is a major antioxidant that goes after two of the most dangerous free radicals, hydrogen peroxide and hydroxyl radicals that can cause poor health. Melatonin perhaps is best known, though, for its ability to help us get to sleep and relieving jet lag as it regulates the body's internal time clock. Melatonin doesn't stop there, though. It also has these other health benefits. 1. Neurological diseases. Alzheimer patients are almost always low in melatonin. Supplementation with it helps the increasing agitation syndrome called sundowning that can accompany Alzheimer's. It helps Parkinson's disease patients with movement and coordination, as well as helps them sleep less restlessly. Prevents brain damage and fatal outcomes from strokes. 2. Heart protective. Melatonin helps normalize cholesterol levels and lowers blood pressure. 3. Fights cancer. Melatonin affects a number of cancers: breast, liver, lung, prostate, and brain metastasis from other body location tumors. It also seems to counteract the toxic effects of chemotherapy such as anemia, heart damage, mouth sores, and fatigue. 4. Psychological ally. Melatonin can help relieve stress and anxiety, both of which are aggravated by lack of sleep. 5. Boosts sex drive. Melatonin is produced by your pineal gland, the same gland that regulates your sex hormones. If melatonin stores are low, most likely so are your sex hormones. Research has shown that supplementation with melatonin restores an interest in sex. How to encourage the production of melatonin for better sleep. Melatonin is a hormone produced from the neurotransmitter serotonin and secreted by the photosensitive pineal gland in the brain. It is a timekeeper in the body, has a daily rhythm that peaks at night, regulating the circadian rhythm, and is also involved with the longer seasonal rhythms. The retina in the eye and the gut both play a part in its production. The messages passing through the body via the autonomic and enteric nervous systems, both systems affected by stress. Its functions go beyond inducing sleep. It helps regulate other hormones, strengthens the immune system, has temperature-lowering effects, and is an anti-inflammatory and potent antioxidant. Based on this information, here are some practical things to do today to help you sleep better. 1. Melatonin likes the dark. In our lifestyles now, we don't actually go to bed when it gets dark and get up in the morning light. But it is a good idea to try to observe more of that rhythm in your life if you are having difficulty sleeping. Turn the lights down low in your home at night, creating a quiet ambience. 2. Blue light is worse than red light for producing melatonin. Blue light is what is emitted by our computers and laptops. So if you are working long hours on your computer, and especially late into the night, you are disrupting your natural sleep patterns. Turn the computer off early than you normally would, and/or move away from the computer screen. If you leave your computer on overnight, experiment and document exactly how the reduced hours on your computer affect your sleep. 3. Download the f.lux software on your computer to reduce the bright lights it emits at night. Mac and PC compatible. 4. Use incandescent light rather than fluorescent light. 5. Walk for 40 minutes or more at least 4 times a week, preferably in the morning, to reset your rhythm and wake you up properly, particularly if you didn't sleep well the night before. It is preferred to not wear sunblock, to let the vitamin D in, and without sunglasses. The morning light will reset your rhythm for the day, allowing your body to feel tired at the end of the day, based on this rhythm. Other advantages of walking are that it is proven to relieve stress and anxiety. It is a natural antidepressant and gives you some physical exercise and exertion, which will improve your health and attitude generally. Good exercise will help you regulate your weight, which affects other sleep disorders, including snoring and sleep apnea. 6. Melatonin has temperature-lowering effects. It has been shown that a normal good night's sleep is spread 6 hours before the point of your lowest body temperature, and 2 hours afterward. Sleep cool rather than being too hot in bed. When your core body temperature is reduced by 0.3 degrees Celsius, you can fall asleep. Work with cool temperatures for your best night's sleep. Do not sleep under heavy donas, duvets, which cause overheating. Sleep temperatures over 32 degrees Celsius start reducing your beneficial rapid eye movement sleep, which is 5 degrees Celsius cooler than normal body temperature. 7. Any stress-reducing activities will improve the body's neurological messaging systems. Have a look at your relaxation times, giving yourself some creative, fun time every day. Ensure that your life is meaningful, contributory, and personally rewarding. There are many other ways, apart from the methods suggested here, to sleep better without using supplements and drugs, and we suggest you try them first. For example, it could be that you are intolerant to a food additive or coloring. Your insomnia might be a side effect of a medication you are taking, etc. Get informed from a reliable source. Insight into sleeping patterns. Even though it is obvious that there are variations, for the most part we all have sleeping patterns that work in harmony with our lifestyles. In fact, learning to recognize that there will be these occasional variations in sleeping pattern will go a long way in alleviating any possible anxiety over occasional sleep loss. Generally, most adults will sleep between 7 hours to 9 hours each day. Having said that, it is recognized that some people are able to handle as little as 3 to 4 hours sleep each day. It is a recognized fact that most of us need more sleep when we are younger. Example being a newborn baby who will require around 16 hours sleep each day, whilst a child of school age will require something in the region of 10 hours, and then at the other end of the age group, a 70-year-old will require around 6 hours, or maybe less. Cycles occur during sleep. For the most part, people will wake up during a cycle. However, they probably will not remember the break in sleep. Each of these sleep cycles lasts for around 1.5 hours to 2 hours, and incredibly, these sleeping cycles vary little throughout our lives. Having an insight into our own sleeping cycle can be invaluable, especially when it comes to catching up with some lost sleep from time to time. What determines our sleeping pattern? There are 2 recognized actions that take place to adjust our sleeping pattern. One is called the homeostatic sleep, and this controls our desire or appetite for sleep, and the other is called the circadian timer, or rhythm, which is the changes the body goes through over the course of a day. The example being in the morning, our bodies change the amount of hormone which heightens our awareness of being awake and energized. Then, during the evening, the body makes another adjustment, makes us feel sleepy and tired. Overall, the longer we are awake, the sleepier we will feel. It is a natural design for a sleep pattern. Sleeping is meant to reduce the drive for sleep, and being awake is meant to increase the drive for sleep. Many bodily functions perform in a similar way, such as the need to drink liquid when we are thirsty. We then take on liquid, thereby reducing the drive for liquid and quenching our thirst. Jet lag and the power of melatonin. Even though melatonin is probably the most studied and best understood natural sleep remedy for insomnia, its use is somewhat controversial, not least because melatonin has yet to be approved by any regulatory body. In addition, despite many studies conducted over several years, opinion remains divided over whether it actually works or not. Melatonin is a hormone that occurs naturally in your body and is secreted by a very small pea-sized organ in the brain called the pineal gland. The release of melatonin is controlled by your body's internal clock, or circadian rhythms. The melatonin plays a vital role in regulating your body's sleep-wake cycle. As darkness falls, your body releases melatonin to signal that it is time to sleep, and, as daylight returns, the effects of melatonin are suppressed in preparation for normal waking activity. The major cause of jet lag is the shift in time between that recorded by your body clock and the actual time at your destination following a long-haul flight. The secret to curing jet lag is therefore to readjust your body clock, to bring it into line with local time, and taking melatonin can be an effective way to do this. Melatonin can be particularly helpful if you are traveling from west to east. For example, if the time difference between your point of departure and your destination is, say, 5 hours, your body clock will be saying that it is 6 p.m., when local time will be showing 11 p.m. In other words, your internal clock will be telling you that it is time for you to start your normal evening activity when everybody else will be thinking about going to bed. By taking melatonin in this situation, you can also trigger your body into thinking that it is time for sleep. In one of the few studies undertaken on the use of melatonin, a group of travelers were given melatonin supplements for 3 days before a long-haul flight, and again for 3 days after their arrival. All of the people taking part in this study reported experiencing much lower levels of fatigue and found that their normal sleeping pattern returned quite quickly. In a second study involving 20 volunteers who traveled regularly between New Zealand and the United Kingdom, half of the volunteers were given melatonin supplements before departure and after arrival, and the other half of the group were given a placebo. The results of the study showed that those given melatonin regained their normal sleeping pattern in about half the time taken by those given the placebo. On balance, melatonin would seem to be of benefit to a significant number of users, and it is fair to say that it is worth giving it a try. It is not, however, a cure in itself and should be used as just one part of an overall jet lag management plan. Long-term benefits of melatonin as a dietary supplement. People with sleeping problems cannot be able to start their day well. They suffer from a very stressful mood because of not getting good sleep. Usually, you can see them in grouchy faces and sagging eye bags. You cannot easily approach them because they are surely hot-tempered. Is there a remedy for insomnia? Good for you because there is. Melatonin comes to its way. At present, this is the best remedy found out by doctors for persons who have difficulty in sleeping. Melatonin is considered as one of the most used dietary supplements, particularly in fighting against sleeping problems. People are guaranteed because of its effectiveness. Although there are some controversies arising about melatonin against other over-the-counter drugs, people still take it. It is advisable that if you are planning to intake melatonin, you have to secure your doctor's permission first to take some precautionary measures if it is good for you or not. Melatonin is a hormone that naturally occurs from the body. Secretion takes place through a tiny pea-sized organ that can be found at the center of the brain and refers to a pineal gland. Its release is controlled by the body's circadian rhythm, which is considered the body's timekeeping system, and it works for 24 hours a day. It is responsible in taking control of your system when you fall asleep and when you start to wake up. The production of melatonin in your body is generated when darkness falls and starts to hold back by the return of daylight. The making of melatonin in a person's body tends to become slower when they reach the age of 40. This makes the young individuals sleep earlier than the adult ones. Melatonin is usually regarded as nature's own sleeping pill. It already cured not only hundreds, but also even thousands of people suffering from insomnia. Although insomnia can be treated through some of the natural remedies, but they are still depending on the effects of melatonin. Studies show that melatonin has come to its existence 4 decades ago. These can be found in various species. That is why researchers believe that its origin starts from the moment that man were born. There is an arising query whether melatonin as a dietary supplement is to be regarded either natural or synthetic. There is an explanation for these according to thorough studies about melatonin. They have isolated the hormone melatonin, so there was a production of both the natural and synthetic melatonin. The natural melatonin is produced from the extract of the so-called pineal gland of animals. The most common extraction comes from the sheep, but it does not guarantee that it is of better quality and effect than with other animals. There are cases that prove impurities on some of its contents that lead to taking off to some supplements in the market. On the other hand, the synthetic melatonin is usually produced technically. It undergoes some of the laboratory control processes. The measurement should be exact. If it should contain 2 milligrams of the melatonin, then it should be, because if not, there could be deficiency on the effectiveness. The synthetic and the natural melatonin are greatly distinct from each other. However, the manufacturers of both ensure the people that the possibility of contamination is greatly reduced. As of now, there are already melatonin tablets that can be bought in the drugstores. It offers numerous benefits to the people. In every tablet that you take, you are secure of nutritional supplements that your body needs. Sometimes the melatonin tablet is already combined with botanical extracts that will add for its more effective result. The person can also benefit with the long-lasting calming effect that will produce a good sleeping habit. Melatonin are also available in a variety of flavors. One is the peppermint flavor. However, you do not have to worry about its effect because it will just be the same. Flavorings are just added to enhance your taste. Aside from combating your sleeping problem, you can also take melatonin as a supplement for maintaining a balanced diet. Melatonin, a powerful hormone that regulates sleep. Melatonin is a longevity hormone. It is the natural hormone secreted by the pineal gland, located in the brain, which regulates the human biological clock in sleep. Other great benefits of melatonin are that it regulates immunity and has anti-cancer properties. There are countless human studies published around the world that prove melatonin is a very important and powerful hormone. Melatonin is a hormone that our body already naturally produces in small amounts. We have higher levels of melatonin when we are born. This is perhaps why infants sleep longer. Our melatonin levels peak when we are teenagers, and after that the levels begin to fall as we age. By the time a person reaches the age of 60, the presence of melatonin almost disappears. Therefore, time spent in deep sleep decreases with age because melatonin levels decrease with age. Studies have shown that melatonin decreases the amount of time it takes to go to sleep. reduces the number of nights awakening, and improves overall quality of sleep. People who use melatonin to treat sleep disorders also found relief from tension and cluster headaches. Melatonin is produced by the pineal gland when we sleep. Because of this, it is important to only take your melatonin after the sun goes down. Do not take this during the day because this is opposite to the body's cycle of production. For best results, it's suggested that you take one 3 milligram tablet 30 minutes before going to bed. Men should take 3 milligrams every night, and women should take 1.5 milligrams, half a tablet, 4 nights a week. Studies have also shown that melatonin regulates immunity. Its anti-cancer properties have shown to stop or delay the spread of cancer. It has been shown in studies that a low level of melatonin is associated with an increased risk of uterine cancer. Studies have been done that show it inhibits the growth of breast cancer cells. Also, in clinical studies, melatonin was shown to reduce the level of prostate-specific antigen, PSA, in prostate cancer patients. This is a miraculous and wonderful hormone. Everyone over the age of 40 should take it. It is safe, non-toxic, and there are no side effects. There have been numerous studies that prove its effectiveness. Best of all, melatonin is cheap. You can take it for only pennies a day. So to feel better, live longer, and to have a higher quality of life, add melatonin to your daily supplement regimen. Melatonin and migraine headaches. What is the connection? If you or someone who suffers from migraine headaches, you know how important it is to get fast relief when a migraine starts. A migraine can cause visual changes, nausea, and vomiting, and severe sensitivity to sound and to light. It can put a stop to your whole day. Most people that get a migraine find that they need to go to a dark, quiet room to lie down and sleep it off. Recently, there have been a few studies on the effects of the herbal supplement melatonin and its effects on migraines. Melatonin is a chemical found naturally in your brain that helps to regulate your body's sleep cycle. Melatonin has been used for years for a large number of disorders. The following are just a few examples to give you an idea of the flexibility of melatonin. Alzheimer's. It has been proven that melatonin will help with sleep disorders in a person with Alzheimer's disease. Antioxidant. A lot of promising studies have been done on animals that show melatonin is a good free radical scavenger. The free radicals are what does damage to our bodies. High blood pressure. There have been a few studies that show that melatonin can be effective in reducing blood pressure. Inflammatory bowel syndrome. Melatonin has shown promise in relieving the symptoms associated with this disorder. There have been studies recently that seem to point to a connection between melatonin levels and migraines. The studies have been few, but they have found that migraine sufferers who take melatonin on a regular basis are developing fewer migraines. Whether it's due to the effects that melatonin has on the levels of serotonin in your brain is not clear. It has been thought that serotonin levels will affect your frequency of migraines also. Studies have shown that taking 3 milligrams of melatonin before bedtime each evening reduced the incidence of migraines in over 50% of the migraine sufferers studied. The study participants reported that the sensitivity of the migraines was decreased also while taking melatonin. Melatonin is a relatively safe drug and can be purchased over the counter at many health food stores and in your pharmacy. The few side effects that have been reported from taking melatonin are headaches, nausea, and excessive drowsiness. Women who are pregnant or breastfeeding should not take melatonin because the effect of melatonin on babies and unborn children is not known. It is also recommended that people with autoimmune disease should not take melatonin. If you are a migraine sufferer, try your own experiment with melatonin. Take 3 milligrams of melatonin about 30 to 60 minutes before bedtime every evening. Document the date that you start and continue taking it for 2 to 3 months. Document any migraines that you might have in this time period and note the severity of the pain and the duration. If you don't have any migraines, make note of that also. If you have noticed a vast improvement in your migraines, then it is safe to say that you have discovered the connection between melatonin and migraines. Melatonin. Find a great source in walnuts. The pineal gland generates melatonin, and one of its purposes is to fight the effects of aging and support in minor ailments such as jet lag as well as insomnia. Given this effect, it is strongly recommended that the utilization of melatonin supplement will be under supervision. Melatonin can be found on walnuts, and there is a study that shows this is absorbed efficiently by rats. Secondary to this finding, studies claim that humans will have the ability to utilize melatonin from sources like walnuts. The only thing that studies could not establish is the dosage of walnuts to consume before one can get the benefits of the substance. But consumption of the melatonin's natural source is safer and generally risk-free. Furthermore, melatonin is believed to behave like an antioxidant, which prevents cell damage from oxidation and therefore reduces the effects of aging. It is interesting to find that the levels of melatonin in the body actually decrease as we age. The antioxidant behavior of melatonin was well studied and researched, where it claims that the substance can actually protect the CNS and generally help the body get rid of the free radicals and its negative effects. However, there is a limitation to the appropriate person who can take melatonin supplements, and below is a short list of those who cannot take the supplements. People with HIV, cancer patients, nursing mothers, people with hypersensitivity, women trying to get pregnant women, children in general. The reason that melatonin is not recommended for cancer patients, even of its beneficial antioxidant effect, is that not enough data can support what the substance can do to humans. There are only a few human experiments that have been made, and it yields a positive result. The result of this investigation is claiming that melatonin have benefits nonetheless if it is under medical supervision. However, the truth remains that melatonin is indeed a very potent substance, which will take only 2 milligrams to 3 milligrams to alleviate insomnia. Nevertheless, melatonin poses a great opportunity for people to fight serious medical ailments such as MS, multiple sclerosis, and cancer. Therefore, incorporating walnuts and other natural sources for this substance may prove very beneficial to protect our health as well as decrease the effects of aging. Melatonin sleep aids. What dosage is best? Research has shown that melatonin sleep aids help to restore natural sleep patterns, but more melatonin is not necessarily better, and melatonin should only be taken for short periods of time. Melatonin is a hormone that occurs naturally in our body to regulate our sleep-wake cycle, also known as the circadian rhythm. It is sometimes referred to as the darkness hormone, as darkness stimulates the release of melatonin, and light suppresses its activity in our nervous system. There is evidence that melatonin production slows down as we age, which combined with jet lag or hormonal changes during menopause can cause significant sleep loss. Safety of melatonin sleep aids. Research has found melatonin sleep aids to be effective with sleep disturbance resulting from various medical conditions, as well as from jet lag and shift work. But people vary in their response to melatonin and require different dosages for the desired result. For most healthy people, low doses of melatonin cause few side effects when taken for periods up to 3 months. However, some people may experience unwanted effects, such as headaches, nausea, grogginess, irritability, hormone fluctuations, vivid dreams or nightmares, or reduced blood flow, especially at doses of 3 milligrams a day or more. Melatonin can also cause drowsiness and therefore should not be taken when driving or operating machinery. Melatonin should not be used by children, teenagers, or pregnant or lactating women. People with the following conditions should also avoid using melatonin sleep aids: autoimmune disease, such as Crohn's, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, Graves'; diabetes; depression, especially if taking an MAO inhibitor; epilepsy; lymph proliferative disorders, such as lymphoma and leukemia. People suffering from any of these conditions should consult a physician before taking melatonin sleep aid. Melatonin does not require approval from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, and is not subjected to the same controls placed on drugs. For this reason, there is little information on melatonin's interaction with other medications. Melatonin dosage. The proper melatonin dosage varies greatly from person to person. It is generally recommended that a person begin with a small dose, around 1 milligram, and work their way up to larger dose if necessary. Pills are commonly available in doses ranging from 1 milligram to 3 milligram. Some studies suggest that smaller doses, for example 0.3 milligram as opposed to 3 milligram, are equally effective as the larger doses. Studies conducted at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, have found that melatonin supplements have 3 to 10 times the amount needed to facilitate sleep. How to use melatonin sleep aids. For sleep disorders associated with stress, shift work, or menopause, melatonin is best taken at nighttime, 30 to 60 minutes before going to sleep. To avoid the effects of jet lag when traveling across multiple time zones, ingestion prior to getting on the flight is recommended, followed by another dosage prior to going to bed. Pineal gland and melatonin. Pineal gland is a small endocrine gland present in the vertebrate brain, also known as the third eye. It produces a hormone known as melatonin, which regulates the sleep-wake cycle as well as seasonal functions of vertebrates. Melatonin is a serotonin derivative. It is a reddish-gray entity resembling a tiny pine cone in shape. It is located rostrodorsal to the superior colliculus, just behind and beneath the stria medullaris, between the thalamic bodies. Pineal gland is a part of epithalamus. It is a calcified component of brain that can be easily viewed in plain X-ray. In human beings, it is made up of a lobular parenchyma of pinealocytes surrounded by connective tissue spaces. The surface of the gland is covered by a pileocapsule. Pinealocytes form the maximum bulk of this gland, but other types of cells are also present that differ in their cellular details. Cells of pineal gland. 5 types of cells that differ in their cellular structures are found in the pineal gland. Pinealocytes are the most abundant cells of the third eye. They are made up of a cell body with 4 to 5 emerging processes that can be stained by special silver impregnation methods. They secrete melatonin. The cytoplasm is lightly basophilic and shows lengthy and branches cytoplasmic processes that extend to the connective tissue septa. Next to pinealocytes are the interstitial cells that are located in between them. They have elongated nuclei, and their cytoplasm takes darker stain as compared to the pinealocytes. The gland is traversed by many capillaries, which contain perivascular phagocytes. These perivascular phagocytes are antigen-presenting cells. In higher vertebrates, neurons are also present in the gland, but they are absent in rodents. In some species, neuron-like peptidergic cells are also present, and it is believed that they have a paracrine regulatory role. Nerve supply. Superior cervical ganglion send sympathetic nerve supply to the pineal gland, but sphenopalatine and otic ganglia also supply parasympathetic nerves to it. Neurons of the trigeminal ganglia finally innervate the gland with nerve fibers containing neuropeptide, PACAP. Human follicles have a variable amount of a gritty material known as copra arenacea, which is chemically made up of calcium phosphate, calcium carbonate, magnesium phosphate, and ammonia phosphate. Studies carried out reveal that calcium carbonate is present in the form of calcite. Calcium, phosphorus, and fluoride deposits present in the pineal gland play some role in aging. Function. Earlier pineal gland was believed as a vestigial remnant of a larger organ. In 1917, it was found that the frog's skin color was lightened when a dose of extract of pineal gland from cows was given. Dermatology professor Aaron B. Lerner and his colleagues at Yale University isolated the hormone melatonin in 1958. Removal of pineal gland induced ovarian growth in rats, while keeping the rats in constant light decreased the weight of their pineal gland, and other related findings resulted in the development of a new branch of science known as chronobiology. Melatonin is N-acetyl-5-hydroxytryptamine, which is a derivative of the amino acid tryptophan. and has some functions coupled with the central nervous system. Melatonin is N-acetyl-5-hydroxytryptamine, which is a derivative of the amino acid tryptophan and has some functions coupled with the central nervous system. Melatonin production by the pineal gland is stimulated in the dark but inhibited in the light. Photosensitive cells present in the retina of the eye detect light and send signals to the SCN, which in turn entrain the 24-hour cycle in nature. Fibers arising from the SCN enter the paraventricular nucleus, PVN, which passes the circadian signal to the spinal cord via sympathetic system. The signal then reaches the superior cervical ganglia, SCG, and finally enters the pineal gland. The extract function of melatonin in humans is still not clear, but it is used in the treatment of circadian rhythm sleep disorders. A compound known as phenylalanine has been isolated from the pineal gland, which is chemically a beta-carboline. The human pineal gland grows in size till 1 to 2 years of age and then becomes stable, but its weight increases until the individual enters puberty. The elevated levels of melatonin in children are believed to inhibit sexual development, and pineal tumors have been found to be associated with precarious puberty. As an individual enters puberty, melatonin secretion is reduced. Calcification of the pineal gland is a typical feature in adult vertebrates. Internal secretions of the third eye inhibit development of reproductive organs. In animals, pineal gland is known to play a major role in sexual development, hibernation, metabolism, and seasonal breeding. Cytostructure of pineal gland bears evolutionary resemblance with the retinal cells of chordates. The pineal gland of modern birds and reptiles is known to produce a phototransducing pigment known as melanopsin. Avian third eye is believed to behave like the SCN of mammals. Studies have shown that the pineal gland contains magnetic material in birds and other animals where it acts as center for navigation. Researchers believe that the gland acts as a magnetic receptor and thus helps the body to align in space. Electromagnetic fields, EMF, are known to suppress this activity and thus reduce melatonin production. EMF activity is also known to affect the circadian rhythmicity. In lower vertebrates, the pineal gland has a structure resembling the eye, so it functions as a light receptor. Studies carried out on rodents suggest that pineal gland may influence the actions of recreational drugs like cocaine and antidepressants like Prozac. Melatonin is known to protect against neurodegeneration. Melatonin production. The production of melatonin is greatly affected by the amount of light received by the third eye. It acts as a circadian clock due to its sensitivity to light and role in regulation of sleep-wake cycle of animals. While sleeping in the night, the level of melatonin in the body reaches a peak between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. and decline as the day begins. Melatonin production is age-dependent. Its production increases at the age of 3 months, reaches its peak at the age of 6, and then declines at the beginning of puberty. The chemical structure of melatonin is very simple, but it plays an important role in regulation of hormone production by different glands of human body. It also controls the overstimulation of the sympathetic nerves, thus lowers blood pressure and slows heart rate. It also lessens mental stress, improves sleep, adjusts the circadian clock, strengthens immunity, relieves jet lag, increases body's resistance to germs, as well as prevents cancer and senile dementia. The production of melatonin is inversely proportional to that of serotonin, which acts as a neurotransmitter and constricts the blood vessels. Brain is highly active during the day, so the production of serotonin increases during the day. However, during night, when mind is less active, the production of serotonin decreases, while that of melatonin increases. When eyes perceive light, the production of melatonin decreases. That is why the individuals who sleep with lights on in the room have lesser immune power and are more prone to cancer and other infections. 2 studies carried out in the United States show that bright light reduces melatonin production and increases estrogen secretion in women, which in turn increases the incidence of breast cancer in night shift workers. Recent studies have indicated that melatonin also acts as an antioxidant and neuroprotector that may be of importance in aging and Alzheimer's disease. Circadian disorders such as sleep-wake cycle disturbances are linked with aging and are more pronounced in Alzheimer's diseases, AD. A dysfunction of the sympathetic regulation of melatonin synthesis and the SCN is responsible for the melatonin changes during the early stages of AD. However, reactivation of the circadian rhythm by using light therapy and melatonin supplementation has given positive results. Melatonin supplements have been available in the United States since 1996. Tumors of pineal gland are rare, and most of them arise due to abnormal embryonic germ cells. They generally take the form of germinomas, which resemble the testicular seminoma or the ovarium dysgerminoma. The secretory activity of pineal gland is only partially understood. Small amounts of melatonin have been isolated from plant species also. For example, oats, sweet corn, ginger, tomato, bananas, and barley. Intake of other food items like soybeans, kelp, pumpkin, and watermelon seeds, almonds, peanuts, yeast, malt, and milk also increases melatonin production in the body. Side effects of melatonin. Melatonin supplements can be beneficial in numerous ways, but there are also side effects of melatonin which should be considered. Melatonin is a hormone naturally produced in the pituitary gland located in the brain. Some fruits, vegetables, meats, and other foods contain traces of melatonin. Supplements are also available. It's safest to use a synthetic rather than a natural supplement because the natural form can cause disease since it can be biologically contaminated. Benefits. Helping with sleeping and waking up is the chief benefit of melatonin. When this hormone is released in higher levels in the body, it triggers readiness of sleep. During the night, levels remain high, but as dawn approaches, the level of melatonin decreases steadily. This is how a healthy body works, but some people suffer from insomnia because their body clock or their circadian rhythm isn't functioning properly. The release of melatonin in the body is affected by light. A circadian rhythm sleep disorder could be caused by failing to get adequate light during the day and being exposed to too much light at nighttime. Shift workers and people with jet lag often experience a disruption in their normal sleep cycle. As people get older, their bodies produce less melatonin, causing them to have problems sleeping. For these various cases of insomnia, research proves that melatonin can relieve general symptoms of sleepiness. But because of the fact that there are many possible side effects of melatonin supplementation, it's best to take the hormone as a patient under a doctor's care, including when used as a sleep therapy. The following are additional benefits provided by melatonin. It's an antioxidant, which means that it helps to prevent cell damage. This function can ultimately improve your immune system and reduce the chances of having health issues such as diabetes and heart disease. When added to anti-cancer drugs, melatonin has been proven to improve the rates of survival of men with metastatic prostate cancer. Research shows that it inhibits the growth of some types of breast cancer cells. It can bring relief from pain and bloating to people who suffer from irritable bowel syndrome. The improved amount of deep restorative sleep provided by melatonin can have anti-aging effects on the body. Research reveals that it may reduce the frequency of migraine headaches. It can effectively be used as an anti-anxiety agent. Used topically, melatonin is a natural sunscreen. Experimental research provides strong evidence that low levels of melatonin lead to relief of both depression and seasonal affective disorder. This natural hormone has been found to inhibit ovulation in women. Used together with other contraceptive methods, melatonin can be used as a form of oral contraceptive. On the other hand, some research has suggested that melatonin may stimulate the reproductive process. One of the most notable benefits is that it helps people who do shift work and who suffer from jet lag. Switching from working all night to working during the day disrupts the body's biological clock, and the results include dizziness, fatigue, and muddled thinking. Melatonin helps establish normal sleep cycles more quickly, which relieves the negative symptoms caused by shift work and jet lag. People who suffer from Alzheimer's disease can improve their quality of sleep and possibly slow the damaging effects of the disease. Finally, melatonin, since it improves the REM phase of sleep, can lead to dream enhancement. People often experience memorable, enjoyable, and vivid dreams as a result of melatonin supplementation. The dose taken is an important factor, however. Sleep remedy studies on melatonin-rich foods. With the National Sleep Foundation reporting that 6 out of 10 Americans suffer with insomnia several nights a week, and 25% of the U.S. population uses sleeping drugs known as hypnotics, an increasing number of people these days are looking for natural sleep remedies. In recent research studies, it was discovered that both walnuts and tart cherries contain significant levels of the natural sleep hormone melatonin, and may therefore be a natural food-based way to get a better night's sleep. Relatively few foods have been examined for their melatonin content. Studies demonstrate that walnuts contain melatonin, that it is absorbed when it is eaten, and that it improves our ability to resist oxidative stress caused by toxic molecules called free radicals. Walnuts also contains large amounts of omega-3 fatty acids, which have been shown to inhibit certain types of cancer and to keep the heart healthy. Melatonin is best known as a sleep remedy. It is a naturally occurring hormone produced by the pineal gland located in the center of the brain. At night or in the dark, the pineal gland releases melatonin to regulate the sleep cycle. The body produces less melatonin with advancing age. While melatonin doesn't require a prescription, it is a potent hormone. If too much is taken, it can make it more difficult to wake up and may result in daytime grogginess. It is best used under the supervision of a doctor. Nutritionists recommend that melatonin is best consumed as part of a whole food or whole food supplement. In another study done, researchers discovered that the tart Montmorency cherry also contains a significant level of melatonin. Cherries are available in concentrated supplement form and can be taken in the evening to improve the quality of sleep. Other ways cherries can be eaten include dried cherries, frozen cherries, and cherry juice. You can add dried cherries to yogurt, granola, salads, and baked foods. Cherry juice should be diluted with water or sparkling water as it is high in natural sugars. The brain can also be assisted in its melatonin production by taking calcium supplements. Calcium helps the brain use the amino acid tryptophan to manufacture the sleep-inducing substance melatonin. This explains why dairy products, which contain both tryptophan and calcium, are one of the top sleep-inducing foods. It's important to note that a balanced ratio of calcium and magnesium is important to overall health, and that these two minerals should be taken together for best results. Digestibility and absorption are important factors in selecting the best forms of calcium and magnesium to use. Look for supplements that contain several different forms of each mineral and have twice as much calcium as magnesium. Other ingredients that enhance the absorption of calcium are boron, vitamin D, vitamin K, and horsetail herb. In addition, oils such as evening primrose have been shown to increase mineral absorption, reduce calcium excretion, and increase bone density. So if insomnia and sleepiness have troubled you, be sure to keep your cupboard stocked with natural sleep remedies and use them well to make insomnia a thing of the past. The basics of melatonin autism therapy. Recent research demonstrates that the melatonin autism sufferers produce in their bodies has an impact on the degree and the appearance of their symptoms, as well as their ability to achieve a quality sleep. The body's natural clock is based upon a 25-hour cycle, which clearly does not line up with the 24-hour solar clock on which the world functions. In order to make up for this lack of alignment, the human brain releases a hormone called melatonin. Melatonin is secreted by the pineal gland located at the very base of the brain. This is the gland most commonly linked to the various nerve and neural pathways between the visual center in the brain and the eyes which take in the images. The pineal gland begins releasing melatonin when there is a lack of signals from the eyes to the visual center of the brain, that is, when it becomes dark. The greater the levels of melatonin in the blood, the less capable the brainstem, which is responsible for keeping us awake, is to keep us awake, and sleep results. The way in which melatonin actually functions remains a mystery, as only rough details of the process are understood. What is known is that the body depends on melatonin in order to become synchronized with the solar day and to regulate the times in which we work well, eat, and sleep, as well as when the majority of the body's other hormones should or should not be present. Melatonin is considered to be a safe enough substance that it is readily available without a prescription, over the counter at local pharmacies. It is commonly used to treat sleep disturbances and is usually most effective when taken a half hour before bedtime and when complemented by a bedtime routine, such as dimming the lights and keeping calm. When it comes to melatonin autism therapies, the aforementioned Dr. Jock Pangsep described in an article that autistic children frequently suffer from sleep disorders, suggesting a melatonin system-related issue. As melatonin is the body's natural sleep regulator, Pangsep finds that autistic children are better capable of achieving the quality sleep they need, and for adequate periods of time when melatonin is supplemented. Further to this finding, improved biological rhythms are also achieved through melatonin application, and a high antioxidant effect is witnessed. This antioxidant effect is explained through the body's natural sleep functions, within which certain chemical reactions occur to counteract the day's collection of harmful free radicals. Antioxidants slow down the degeneration of tissue, hypertension, cataract, atherosclerosis, macular degeneration in the eyes, and other results of high free radical levels in the body. Those free radicals are neutralized by antioxidants such as vitamin C, vitamin E, carotenoids, and body-generated chemicals such as melatonin. With melatonin supplementation, autism sufferers can gain not only improved sleep, but also powerful antioxidant performance, leading researchers to believe that this safe and usable hormone can greatly assist in the reduction of autism symptoms that may have been aggravated as a result of lack of sleep and from free radical damage. With melatonin treatments, under the proper supervision and recommendation of a child's physician, many autistic children, and their parents for that matter, can sleep better and minimize the impact of their condition. Admittedly, further data is required before a final statement can be made about the success, or lack thereof, of melatonin autism therapy. However, it has produced high hopes in many parents who are eager to be able to reap these very appealing and easy-to-achieve rewards. Speak to your child's physician if you feel your child would benefit from melatonin supplementation.